Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Kottabos Space Program, where today we are having a look at the Coyote Space Industries Cargo Freighter mod, which is being made by forum user dboy88. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is a selection of parts to allow you to build some seriously gigantic freighters, which will allow you to move vast quantities of cargo all around the solar system. And that is wonderful. So let's jump right on into the spaceplane hangar, as it's a little bit easier to view some of the massive parts that we do have for this mod in here. So let's start by grabbing the command bridge real quick, just to give you an idea of the size of these things, and grab the Mark 1-2 command pod briefly. Yeah, that's how big this command bridge is. And here's the fun bit. This is one of the smallest parts of the mod. Oh yeah, we're about to look at some parts on here which are seriously gigantic, and it's a beautiful thing. I always do enjoy when mods bring in just gargantuan parts. They are impressive. So let's dump the Mark 1-2 as we really don't need it anymore, and let's turn on our mod filters and take off Squad and also Umbra Space Industries, which we do have installed as one of the prerequisites. I should mention it real quick. Now, all the prerequisites are bundled in with the download when you do grab this mod, but it does need Fire Spitter, the Community Resource Pack, CKK, Module Manager, and USI Core. All of those together are bundled, so you won't have to worry about searching around for each of them, but just so you do know. But we'll come back to the Umbra Space Industries stuff in a little bit. Let's turn this off, though, and, oh boy, we're gonna need to move this thing forward briefly. Actually, we'll keep it here for now, because let's quickly go over the command bridge before I get ahead of myself. Now, the Freighter Command Bridge is a pretty impressive command pod here, as it is actually unmanned, but it can hold up to 8 crew members, which is quite nice. So whether you got crew or not, you're good to go. It does, of course, have a built-in data transmitter, CurbNet access, the usual reaction wheel, SAS, and a whopping, oh boy, 5,000 electric charge. So it's going to hold quite a bit of battery. And as for the look and design of this thing, well, it is simply gorgeous. I love the modeling of it, I love the texturing, and I love that it looks, at least to me, very much stock-alike, which you guys know that I love it when it looks like it fits in the game, and I think this very much does fit. It, to me, it looks like something the Kerbals might build in maybe 100 more years of space development. Who knows? It could be fun. But yeah, it's like a futuristic Kerbal part, and I very much do enjoy it. Now let's actually get along to moving this thing now, because we need a lot of room in here. So let's just budge this thing all the way up front, and then we're actually going to skip a couple of categories here and head down to utility, which is where the vast majority of things in this mod do live. And we're going to take a look first at the hull parts, because even though we do have a lot of fun parts here, really, you're only going to be able to make a single kind of ship with this, as they fit together fairly specifically. So after you have the command bridge, we have the freighter hull, which has, or it says here, asymmetrical variant, so I'm curious if in the future we might get other variants of freighter hulls, but for the time being, we just got the one, and this thing is pretty cool. It does have a massive reaction wheel, holds 10,000 electric charge, and also holds a very sizable amount of carborundum, which is the material added in by the Community Resource Pack, which is used by the engines, which is quite expensive, so you are going to need to have a pretty good mining operation set up for creating the stuff, which, you know, that'll be up to you in your game. But yes, the hull itself will hold a very sizable quantity of it, and if we grab this thing, you can see how freaking gigantic it is. Now let's see if I can actually get it to click on there. Oh, hold on. There we go. Beautiful. Because of how large the part is, it can actually be a bit difficult to get it attached. But yes, it is, well, gigantic. I love the cool tanks down here, which I'm assuming is the fuel tanks for the engines, and the whole thing is just gorgeous. And you may be wondering, well, what are all these interesting looking rectangular bits all around the place? Well, that is the really cool thing about this mod and why I really seriously love this thing, because what all of these parts are module bits that you can add on to this ship. So you have your standard hull right here, and say you want a lovely cargo bay. Now that could fit inside, you can see the size of it here, the general size, so it fits in one of these sized rectangular bits. And now we have a cargo bay right there, and rather than being a solid chunk of the ship, we can now actually open these doors to reveal a cargo bay. Or say one of these smaller ones up here, we can grab this small cupola one, and I actually gotta rotate this thing, I believe. Hold on a moment, and I think I'm making it worse. It actually is not rotated correctly, but there we go. It fits inside of these sized modules. So we have basically a couple of different sizes of modules that you can chuck onto here, and they all have different purposes. Now, we'll come back to these momentarily, as I do want to continue showing the rest of the hull, because we're not done with this. Let's actually move this baby up a little bit more. There we go. Gorgeous. Excellent. Because, well, you can bring more stuff off of the back of this freighter hull, where we have, actually, if I move more this way, there we go. We have the freighter rear container truss. And this is where the USI things start to come in. So if we grab this, and this can actually be a little bit of a pain, because as you can see, we have two attachment points right here, and then this attachment point here, which is what we actually want to get. And it can kind of be a little bit of a pain to get this thing attached, at least in my experience. So let's pop it there real quick, and then try, there we go, beautiful, excellent. And what this large truss section is for, as you can see, it's another one of these sort of modular bits. Now it can fit, say, this small greenhouse module, those will fit inside these, but it's specifically designed, if I do just quickly turn back on Umbra Space Industries, it's specifically designed for these 5-meter containers. So if we rotate this around, they fit perfectly right into there. So this is where the main cargo bits come in, and you can make this truss section pretty large. You can stack it so that it continues going back more, and you can just hold multiples of these containers, which of course, if you've used the USI core system, you know you can change to different kinds of cargo materials. And yeah, that is where the cargo bit comes from here. So let's actually turn this off for now, back to just having our core items here. And yeah, so the ship is not complete though, because we have a very interesting thing here. This large tube can actually be moved through, but only after you attach this EVA prep area. And this is very interesting because you'll notice this part here, this is the airlock we're wanting for this EVA prep area. This specifically attaches to this point on the main freighter hull. If we just bring that there, excellent. And if we open the door there now, we can actually go into the rest of this tunnel. So it's a very odd part because it attaches to this main section, but then it continues through another section of the ship, which is very cool. And as you can see right here, we have a hatch so you can get a Kerbal out of this area to walk around, which if you have the freight containers here that are full of like Kerbal inventory system inventory items, they can actually access them through these holes. So they can actually go up to a container, right click it, and grab something out. Or of course, inside this whole little area in here, you could put containers or experiments along the walls. It is a very, very cool internal area that I quite enjoy. But we're not quite done yet with the ship, because of course we need an engine, which goes on the very end over here. Oh god, I'm gonna have to rotate around this way, I think. And there we go. There is our engine, which is also a beautiful logistics center, which, if we do bring up the information, oh boy, powerful engine. In vacuum, this thing maxes out at 150,000 kilonewtons. Again, that is why the carborundum is quite expensive, and it uses 837 of the stuff per second. So it is going to use a lot of fuel, but it's going to produce a crap load of thrust to get yourself around the solar system with. It does also have an electric charge, but you'll notice that it does not have any alternator on here, which of course we can fix, because if we go down to electrical, we have a lovely little freighter reactor core module, which we could either attach back here somewhere, or of course it is designed to be up here in one of these slots. There we go. Hello, we have a little visual glitch there. I'd noticed that before. Apparently this is slightly small for the module? Question mark? Let's actually see if we can rotate this thing to fit better. No, that still is going to be weird, isn't it? Yep, I can still see through the ship. Perhaps that needs to be adjusted more. Possibly. But yes, it is a fun little reactor, which will use enriched uranium to produce a depleted fuel, xenon gas, and electric charge at a rate of 4,500 per second, which is pretty cool. And yeah, it's pretty nice. Has built-in 450 enriched uranium, so you should be good to go for quite a while. Now, before we get back to the rest of the utilities section, there is another thing in here outside of the utility area, which is the freighter science lab, which is designed to go... Oh god, if I can actually get this thing on here. Hold a moment. Alright, I may need to rotate. No, it actually should be... There we go. Excellent. We do have a whole little science lab, which functions like your typical science lab and is very, very beautifully detailed. If we do move around and zoom in, as you can see here, we've got some cool little robotic arm that'll move around to do the experiments. And it's nice. I really do love this thing. Plus, as you can see here, it's Kerbonauts access for everything. It will consume various materials. We'll talk more about this in a minute, because it does hold 4 Kerbals, and this is compatible with several life support systems. We'll talk more about that later on. But yeah, that is the science lab. Now let's head back to utility to take a look at more of these modules. Now let's start back again with the cargo bay module here, which of course we did already briefly look at. We can open the doors in here. We can turn on and off lights. Very nice. We can actually change the number if you have more than one cargo bay. Maximum of 5, as it would appear. And yes, it's quite cool. Very large. It does have 1 crew member, which is important because it has... Oh no, this one does not have actually a hatch to get out the Kerbal. There is another one that does, though. If we go to a larger cargo bay, this cargo bay is designed specifically to go right here, the largest of the modules, the freighter hangar bay. And yes, that is actually, there we go, beautiful. It is a gigantic bay here, very cool, and it does have a hatch so you can get out a Kerbal to move around, do whatever they need to here. And yes, it is the only part that is large enough to fit inside of this specific module section. Now we do have an aquarium module, which I'm not entirely sure. It's an agroponics thing, so it is for the life support systems. We can pop it onto there. Very cool looking. I do love the look of it. And if you zoom in a bit, you can see it has some fish sort of swimming around. Very fun. We do also then have a greenhouse module, more standard sort of aeroponics thing up in space. Now, both of these, I should point out, do have a crew capacity of 4 and can be used as a command pod with 1 person as minimum, and do both also have 5,000 electric charge. Very nice. Now, we then have the habitation module here. Very cool there, which can hold up to 8 personnel, has 5,000 electric charge, and it has mulch and supplies installed, again for the purpose of life support systems. Let's pop that off. We then have the med bay, which holds medical supplies, of course, again for the purpose of life support. It can hold a maximum of 4 crew, minimum of 1, again a battery of 5,000. A very cool part there. The next module we have is the recycler module, which will take the different biological stuff and mechanical things and filter them through. This is more in lines for the Umbra Space Industries stuff and how its whole system works, so you can do the various recycling with this thing. Very cool unit. I do love the design of it. Very fun. The next thing we have here is a just smaller recycle unit. Now, it can, of course, be popped onto here, but it is, of course, designed for the smaller ones up at the front. And yeah, when it's doing the same fun, weird glitch. Lovely. Now, the next part we have is a freighter storage module. Now, this is just for massively improved storage. Basically, it's a crap load of the containers you'd put over here, but stacked like this, and you can do a variety of different tank setups to just whatever you need to transfer around the solar system. And it's quite fun. The next thing we have is the workshop module, which is compatible with OSI and EPL, so the Extraplanetary Launch Pad or OSE workshop, so you can build things here, which is quite fun. You can make this a self-sustaining workshop of a ship, which is very cool if it needs any replacement parts or anything. We then have a luxury living space module, which sadly does not have an interior. I would love to see what it would look like, but for right now, it's canteen. There you go. Luxury living quarters, which I should point out, let's grab back here, can hold 8 crew members in that one, minimum of 1 for being a command pod, as per usual. We then have just a standard passenger cabin, which isn't as fancy as the big one. And there we go, just a standard passenger cabin. This one can hold 20 Kerbals, so yeah, a little bit tighter living than the 8 Kerbals on the luxury one, but still quite nice. Now, technically, I should point out that all of these that can hold Kerbals do technically have an interior, but they use the standard, oh my god, why am I always forgetting the name of it? The okay, you know what, we're going to turn on the mod filter, turn back on squad, because for some reason I always forget the name. Hitchhiker storage container. How do I always forget the name of that thing? It uses this as the interior for anything, basically, that holds Kerbals in it. So there we go, we can turn that back off and move up to the front for the last 2 pieces here, which are small cupola modules, which if we... Oh, it's not wanting to cooperate again. Fun to try and get these things to actually cooperate sometimes. Okay, you know what, let's attach it there briefly. And then... yeah, it's still the wrong way around. And I can't seem to... There we go, I got it, there we are, excellent. A small cupola module, which can hold 2 crew members, minimum of 1 to operate, and the usual electric charge. And then finally, a small greenhouse, again, with use for the different life support mods to, you know, have some life support things to make some food, which I should have rotated it, but oh well, there you go, you can see it there. And last but certainly not least, we do have a container thing here, but this I think is broken for right now because it is just a random container in here, which is kind of small and frankly pointless when you do have all of the containers in this logistics tab from the USI core. But yes, you can of course take it and move it around to any other storage you do desire. It is quite handy for that, and of course it is a much smaller container, but I mean, you know, if that's your thing, you can use it certainly. But yeah, that's all the parts for the Coyote Space Industries cargo freighter. So let's actually take a look at one that I built earlier, which is in space. Now, you may be asking at this point, with how gigantic these things are, how in the crap are you meant to get them into space? Which is a fair question. Basically, you're not meant to. Now, if you can, I mean, that's certainly up to you to try and get this monstrosity into orbit from the Kerbal Space Center, but the mod has been designed to be used in conjunction with extraplanetary launch pads for you to actually build this thing in orbit and then use it to move goods between different planetary bodies, and it's meant to always stay in space. This thing is not meant to take off from a planet or land on a planet. Again, if you're really determined, you probably could find a way to do it, but you're more likely going to blow up. But yeah, it is an awesome thing that you're going to want to build in situ in space using either extraplanetary launch pads or OSE Workshop. And it has support, as you may have guessed, from things like the aquaponics or the aquarium module and the greenhouses, etc. It is already compatible with the USI life support, but is being worked on to also be compatible with snacks or TAC life support, so whichever one you do want to go with. It is also, of course, compatible with the Kerbal inventory system for containers of things. Again, extraplanetary launch pads, the USI modular colonization system, it's all compatible with that. And there's hopes to make it compatible with the hangars mod in the future, which I think would be quite fun for this one, to actually have a hangar module here, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, you can make some pretty impressive ships with this thing that are just freaking ginormous, and like I said, can be quite fun if, say, you let's open this real quick. Open this door. Oh god, it's a very slow airlock. There we go. Now that we do have this fun interior section, we can click on this crew hatch and get out Valdine Kerbin and get them on EVA. Lovely. Okay, let's zoom into them. And we can actually turn on, nope, not that. Nope. There we go, and perfect. And they can move through this hallway. Isn't it awesome? And again, if you did have, say, like Kerbal inventory system containers here, you could right-click on them to actually go and do whatever it is you need to do to grab some parts, or put things along the wall here so you can grab things, whatever you need. And you can even go all the way back to some stuff that looks cool but is completely useless. We've got some valves and whatnot here. And yeah, you can move around and use this as a prep area for if you are, preparing to unload your cargo, doing whatever it needs doing, and of course gives you a convenient door to leave through from the airlock that we do have out front, which is very, very handy, and of course is all nicely lit up in here, which is always very, very useful. Let's actually get back here. Oh boy. We've crashed. Oh, it's all gone wrong. There we are. Let's actually do this properly. No, it's not. It's going to go horrible. It's going to go horrible. All right, let's actually move in here again and actually properly do this. Grab board. There we go. And there we are. Lovely. And we're back in the ship to do whatever you need to do here. Get your cargo moved around, etc. It's just a beautiful ship that is very, very fun and has the capacity to move just gigantic amounts of cargo, which is very, very useful. Now, if you are someone who prefers to play in, say, career mode, this can still work in career mode, but it's at the very, very end of the tech tree, and every part is super expensive. But this thing really was mainly designed to be used in sandbox mode because, well, it's just, I mean, look at this thing, it's huge. But yeah, it's a fun mod, and if you would like to check it out for yourself, which I would definitely suggest you go and do, so you can make giant ships like this, which, if I remember correctly, currently holds 60 Kerbals, because of all the different containers I have, etc. It's a big one, and it's awesome. You can check out the link in the description to grab it for yourself. Oh god, I need to close this thing in here. There we go. Close door. Lovely. And before we end, of course, let's rev up the engine. And there we are. The lovely and powerful engine that uses the Carbodorum, whatever the hell resource it was again, that I've now forgotten the name of. And provides a very large amount of thrust. We were at 250,000 orbit, and look at it go. It is just, going quite quickly. Very good, very fast engine, but again, a custom resource that is going to be fairly expensive, so you are going to want to make sure that you have some good mining equipment all set up wherever you're going to be for, actually building it. But that is going to be it for this episode, folks. I hope you all have enjoyed, and of course that you do come back for the next one, where hopefully we'll be looking at yet another wonderful... Oh, wait, I forgot to talk about one more feature in this thing. As we all know, cargo can get very large and make ships very, very cumbersome. We have a weight transfer feature that if you turn on in each of the different parts of the ship, will actually sort of equalize the weight between the different bits of the hull. So it'll sort of shift everything around a bit just to make the ship a bit easier to control. Very fun thing. Glad I remembered that before finishing the mod. It is a fun feature to have as the final thing before saying goodbye. But yes, do go and check out this lovely piece of work. Link in the description as usual, but that's it for today. I hope you have enjoyed. You do come back for the next, but until that time, thank you for watching, my friends, and as always, have a good one.